The reason why I'm saying all this is because they have earnings coming up here on February 11th. Last year was also when PayPal first introduced a quarterly cash dividend. Basically, every share you own of PayPal, you get 14 cents every single quarter.
One, I think it's going to reduce spending all around because that's how banks are going to look at it. They're like, why would we lend a low tier, high risk customer 10% on a credit card and most likely not get it back in some, or for it to at least not make sense? And banks are going to react like this, I think, and they're going to only reward credit cards to a more top-tier customer.
Welcome back to another episode of The Market Take, breaking down what's happening around the world in the markets and in crypto.
And if you like being informed about this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to our channel. And if you do watch our content and you're not sure if you're subscribed, please double check. A lot goes into making these videos, and we get super motivated when we see that people are interested. So yeah, thank you.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Market Take. It is January 19th. We got a pretty big episode, a lot to cover in world news, stocks, crypto, and the holiday tournament is officially over. Let's announce the Rolex winner. Somebody's joining the Rolly gang.
Wow. Before we get into it, guys, and this isn't for you because you guys are already members, but we're just saying it for the YouTube. We have a free Discord, okay? Let's not forget about it. We have a free Discord. This is where, if you're just beginning in trading or just starting in trading, this is an excellent tool for you. Don't worry, paying members, it's definitely not as goated as the premium Discord by any stretch of the imagination. But this is an excellent starting point if you're just getting started in trading. We have free courses. We have a weekly trade. We have trade journals. We have Bitcoin and Ethereum levels that you could look at to know where the market's going in crypto. We talk about stocks. We have the Thanos strategy, the blast strat, all in there that you could learn and begin your trading journey. So I will link it in the bottom of this video and only this video. So if you want to join that Discord, check the description. All right.
Let's get into it, man. What is the update in Minnesota? I'm hearing rumors of Trump, not rumors, Trump may invoke the Insurrection Act.
Yeah. So, listen, everybody, if you don't know what's going on in Minnesota, there is a ton of civil unrest with especially with the Renee Good shooting that happened a couple weeks ago. And it's just caused absolute outrage. The city is pretty much on fire. So, people are starting to attack federal agents. You have Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, kind of really lashing out on social media too, and really blurring the lines of inciting stuff and obstructing, obstructing federal investigations.
What is the Insurrection Act?
So the Insurrection Act is where the president brings in the U.S. military into a part of the country to reestablish order and peace. Usually they do this with they ask for permission first. They'll always go to the governor and be like, hey, I really think you should do this. We should enact this, and and they'll come to an agreement about it. But in good old Trump fashion, he doesn't need permission. He claims. But yeah, so the Pentagon has placed 1,500 troops on standby to be potentially deployed in Minnesota. So yeah, it's getting pretty serious. Now, a lot of people might wonder, has the Insurrection Act been used before in the country?
That's what I was seeing is how there's extremists on both sides that like to take something to the extreme. They're saying that the Insurrection Act is basically something that a Nazi would do, or a fascist, even though it's been done how many times throughout history already?
Yeah, so about 30 times throughout American history, and for good reason too.
Throughout 57 presidents now?
Yeah. So. Honestly, it's been used for a lot of good doing, off the top of my head. right? I mean, the most notable cases that the Insurrection Act was used was during the Civil Rights era and during the Civil Rights Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, President Eisenhower used the Insurrection Act to escort black college students to Southern college campuses because during that time there was a lot of civil unrest because of the Civil Rights Act,
Right.
So they actually brought in the military to escort these kids to college because one, the colleges didn't want to accept them. Two, the people were just outraged by the Civil Rights Act back then, and the Civil Rights Act is a federal law. And once a state or anywhere it violates a federal law, that's when they can enact the Insurrection Act. And then same thing with JFK. JFK enacted this too for the same exact reason, to escort black students to colleges in the South that were getting attacked, or there was a lot of civil unrest because of that
Right.
era.
I mean, it makes sense now. You're seeing a lot of leaders in certain states that are saying, hey, even though this is federal law, we're going to ignore it. We're going to do our own thing. And that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
We have laws for a reason.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what's going on in Minnesota right now. I mean, dude, also I want to touch on this as well, right? They're opening up, the DOJ is opening up a criminal investigation on Tim Walz and Jacob Frey because of how they word things when they talk and speak to the public.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was saying earlier, it blurs the lines of, are they inciting something? Are they recommending they do something that could, obstruct federal investigations, which is illegal at the end of the day?
Well, sorry, not to cut you off, but you remember during COVID, during the vaccine times, the left was like, if you see somebody that doesn't have a vaccine, you punch them in the face, this and that. And then when Kamala was running, it's like, if you see a Republican, blah, 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 you just punch them in the face, or I believe she said, I just want to punch Trump in the face and like stuff like that. It's like, it's crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic and cut you off, but.
No. Honestly, I wasn't going to say much after that. But yeah, I mean, dude, the decorum between politicians now has completely changed. It's like, it's like whatever goes, And dude, I mean, even with Trump, Trump's like flipping off people, flipping off the crowd.
I saw that.
Saying F this, F that,
Yeah.
Like, people don't care anymore, man.
Fed up.
They don't. There's no, it's pretty crazy.
And I know we weren't really going to talk about this topic today, but just a brief update from the stuff that's going in Iran. The death toll has gone up drastically. It's like very different numbers. For example, we're seeing like 4,000 from some sources. Time magazine's at 5,000. Some other sources are saying 12,000. That's just terrible.
I was thinking about this. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was thinking about this. How I was saying earlier. Well, Trump kind of like called off the attack on Iran if they didn't like stop killing people. But going back to how he like does things, man, he like purposely lies. Well, says he's not going to do something anymore, and he'll catch everybody by surprise. He did this with Venezuela. He did this with honestly when they were bombing the nuclear facilities in Iran. Like it caught everybody by surprise, and that's how, honestly, that's kind of how you have to do it, right? You can't just give everybody a heads up. I'm going to do this, right? It gives people time to prepare, to prep, to put things in motion. But yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't put it off the table. Right? Like, I honestly expect it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Man.
What's going on with Canada and China, man?
Oh, yeah. So this has been all over the news the past 2 days. Canada and China. So Canada and China came to a pretty significant trade agreement. Now, is it Prime Minister Carney? I believe, yeah. Prime Minister Carney. Right? Rewind a year ago. was totally on board and being aligned with the U.S. putting heavy sanctions on China, especially with EV vehicles, right? And kind of like really hindering that trade. Fast forward with all the Greenland stuff going on, with all the, reciprocal tariffs things going on, right? Canada and China came to a trade deal yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was a pretty significant one. They are now going to be taking in EV cars from China into Canada. They've lowered the tariff percentage to 6.1% from 100%.
So they dropped their 100% tariff rate that they had.
Yeah. And in return, China is supposed to purchase a certain amount of like canola and other agricultural things from them too as well. But there is a lot of the feelings on this is like half and half, right? There's like diehard anti-American people that just like love this, and then there's the other half of Canada that's just like, dude, you're gonna crumble our economy.
Well, if a lot of real estate and docking ports in Canada is like China owns it, like it's been sold to China. They've bought a ton of property, and even people that aren't citizens, like they still allow you to buy property.
Yeah, I'm not completely familiar how it works over there, but one thing to take note of is like Ford in Canada is like they're still their biggest car manufacturer, right? They employ around 7,000 people. They are the top sales producing car manufacturer in Canada. And, with these tariffs, especially with this like EV deal, especially like it's going to really hinder Ford, I think. And this is what a lot of people are worried about too. Like it's going to put a lot of pressure on jobs out there. And one thing to notice is like Ford in Canada sources a lot of its material in Canada, and especially for like EV stuff. And now that China kind of has like free trade over there pretty much, that's going to like really like jobs for like those material plants and everything are going to feel the squeeze. They really are. Carney said, he was saying it in a video too, like it's time for the new world order, whatever that means,
Dude, the world's going to rapidly change in the next 3 to 7 years.
I think so.
Rapidly. I was listening to Tony Robbins and just talking about the AI stuff, and I think it's going to come way quicker than we think. Way quicker.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I guarantee you the global map you look at is going to say completely different things than you're used to seeing, right? But what do you think this means for? How do you think the U.S. is going to like take this? It seems like the relationship is dying fast.
Yeah. Ever since Trump made Carney walk, I don't know if you ever saw that in one of like Trump's like speech things he had. There was like a ton of traffic, and then the Prime Minister of Canada called. He goes, "Hey, like I can't get through with this traffic. It's so busy." Trump's just like, "You gotta wait." Like he didn't care. But real quick in the chat, Rocket Man says car manufacturing jobs in Canada were already a mess after Stellantis left. So Stellantis is like Fiat Chrysler. Yeah.
Stellantis is, I was actually talking to your brother about this. And he was just telling me how much of a trash company it has become. And yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump takes it as like eventually like maybe like a security risk too, if China gains too much influence in Canada. But they have so much influence in the U.S. though themselves that people don't even realize, But it definitely is. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a weird move because at the end of the day, we are Canada's number one customer when it comes to these things.
We're also China's number one customer.
Yeah.
So. What else was I going to just say? I know, Trump was saying that Greenland is like a strategic move, and then like all these like new moves happening on the map are like for the security of like the U.S. But then we were talking about last week how if you take the most like eastern tip of Alaska, it's only 2.5 miles away from Russia. You can see Russia from Alaska. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's like, I don't buy a lot of it, and there's stuff that they're never going to tell us or tell the public. And I think everyone kind of knows that.
I was thinking about this too, but from like a geopolitical standpoint, right? Like, yeah, it's Alaska, but like we forget how far Alaska is from mainland and how defended the Pacific coast is. Mm-hmm. Like that's where, a lot of like huge military and naval bases are present. And it's honestly, it's a logistical nightmare in a sense. Greenland's path when those ice blocks melt, or those big ice caps melt, and it opens up new waterways. It's a way easier path because Greenland is what no offense to Greenland, but like who's defending Greenland? It's got a population of what, 50,000?
I don't know to tell you, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
They were just showing the stats of like how much, like how many fighter jets compared to tanks to helicopters that like Denmark and Greenland have versus the U.S. and the numbers were just like crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, dude, it goes if that whole thing happens, then what happens to NATO? Isn't NATO just completely? Isn't that agreement just shattered?
That's another thing too. I personally think they're going to come to some sort of.
Russia would love that.
Dude, they've kind of been like joyful about it lately. There was something it was like on a news outlet in Russia. Like they're kind of gloating about it. They're licking their chops.
They're freaking gassing up the situation to like break up NATO. I mean, yeah. It's not out of the realm of possibility to see a world where NATO no longer exists. Like these things come and go like throughout history. I mean, I feel like U.S. Adds the most resources to NATO anyway. So what is the benefit? I'm sure this goes way above my head. I'm sure they have some other benefits, but yeah. Let's keep the show rolling because we got a lot to cover in stocks and crypto.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a high-speed train crash in Spain that left about 40 people confirmed dead and over 100 to 150 people injured. There was about 300 people on the train. That's crazy. It sucks.
Yeah.
So much chaos.
2 speed trains colliding. And you know what's crazy? Those tracks were renovated last year.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it was a part where like
messed up.
It was a part on the tracks where the track could like switch and stuff. It was on that part. And one of the trains literally derailed, leaned to the left and smacked into the other high speed train. And guys, this happened in Spain, by the way. In Madrid, like a train coming from Madrid going to I forgot how do you pronounce that? I don't even know how to pronounce that, but Madrigal or whatever. Madrigal. But yeah, 2 high-speed trains colliding into each other. It was very gruesome. It was in a very remote part of Spain. And yeah, I mean, the rescue mission has been really difficult because of how remote it is in Spain. And, there was reports of like, I probably even shouldn't say it, but like literally bodies flying out of the carts when they
right.
Yeah.
Right now, they're saying that there is no indications of foul play, but just overall, there's been a lot of scandals in Spain's transport sector overall. Kind of very similar to what happened here with that hotel in Vegas, the one that the architect just kept passing passing the inspections to speed up the process, and then they had to dismantle the entire hotel, the hotel in the city center. The
Cosmo condos or whatever.
I'm 90% sure the architect ended up I can't say the words on the video, but
You
ended
could
up
say like unalived himself. You could say that.
Did he unalived himself because of all the stuff that was gonna happen, basically like on his head.
Oh my, yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into stocks, huh?
Let's get into it, man. Talk to me.
Just when we thought all the rocky stuff was out of the way, no, we got earnings season coming up.
Oh man,
We got
here
earnings
we go.
coming up.
Strap in, folks.
Yeah, but before I get into earnings, guys, I want to bring up a stock that I brought up in October of last year. That stock is PayPal. I think I told you guys about it. What was it, like 65 bucks, 66 bucks, I think at the time. Right now it's sitting around 57. So if you guys remember, PayPal 2025 Q3 earnings, they beat revenue by 2.2%. They did 8.4 billion in revenue. The EPS, meaning the earnings per share, they beat that by 14%. They got $1.30 earnings per share. Their net income, 1.25 billion, was beaten by 14%, guys. The reason why I'm saying all this is because they have earnings coming up here on February 11th. Last year was also when PayPal first introduced a quarterly cash dividend. Basically, every share you own of PayPal, you get 14 cents every single quarter. So fundamentally, the company continues to grow, even though it's being the massive behemoth that it is. Now the chart is not really following along, and it is getting sold off into. So part of that is because PayPal's growth isn't as big as some of the other players in the space. But when we're talking about the size of PayPal itself, it is a bigger company than these companies that are growing on a quote unquote quicker rate. So we need to take that with a grain of salt. Something else too that is big for PayPal here, guys, is that PayPal is seeing a 15% growth in their value added services. So if you guys remember in last October, what I was talking about was not really so much the amount of transactional volume, even though that is steadily growing. It's stuff like Venmo that is significantly growing. And if you guys have seen, Venmo now allows you to pay, like you can pay your bills with Venmo, you can buy crypto with Venmo, quite a lot of stuff. So this is showing that unlike their competitors that are just processing payments, PayPal is diversifying their revenue streams, because I said 15% of their growth is coming from like the value added services, which if you guys remember in October, I was saying is stuff like working capital loans, business loans, which are different than working capital loans. Even though working capital loans are still essentially a type of business loan, they are structured completely different. Okay. Not only that, their international markets grew much quicker than their domestic markets. So it means that they're expanding globally. So on a fundamental level, I still stand behind PayPal, and I think it's a really good stock pick. It's something that I'm going to be investing in myself. Again, do your own financial due diligence. Right? I'm not telling you to buy. I'm just telling you the information that I've researched and why I think PayPal is a strong candidate. What I'm looking for is to see if the earnings that come out on February 11th, which is just in 23 days, completely pivot the chart. Because like I said, fundamental wise, PayPal is killer. And it's one of the few times that like that the stock that the stock chart is kind of lagging behind the fundamental price, because normally you see companies trading at like 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever X earnings. And PayPal is only trading at like a 10% earnings, which is, not high compared to the industry. And then if we look at the key sectors that are growing in the entire stock market, it's the technology sector, and then it's financial services, PayPal, and then it's communicative and info services. So
No, I
Were you
was
saying
just
something?
clearing my throat.
Oh, you're good, brother.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so that's kind of the big follow up for just kind of the stocks that I like going forward. And with that said, it's earnings season coming. All right, so tomorrow, guys, we have Netflix reporting earnings, which is a big stock, but not considered in the Magnificent Seven.
Before you get into real quick, do you know what the status is with that Warner Brothers deal?
With Netflix, no, I don't.
Last thing I heard is like they turned into like a straight cash deal.
It's I know they were getting potential bids from who else was the other bidder? Was it Paramount?
Paramount, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had to sweeten the deal apparently. All cash, liquid.
I do not like the fact that Netflix was trying to like get rid of theaters. Like, what are you doing? Like, we're all already in the house too much. Let us enjoy the theaters.
One of the few joys I have left in
Right.
this life is a movie theater. You
Yeah.
know. Please continue.
Blast, feel free to chime in on this one too. But so all week, guys, we have U.S. Bank Corp, Key Bank, First National Bank, Eagle Bank, Capital One, Charles Schwab, Citibank, all reporting earnings. I'm sorry, Citibank is not this week, but everything else that I just said is this week. All these banks are trading at near all-time highs. Citi just hit new highs. U.S. Bank hit new highs. All these, majority of these banks that I've named off hit new highs. So when earnings come around this week, be careful for earnings to be priced in, which means that the stock is already ran up. And then when earnings come out, even if earnings are great, the stock could sell off. But what I wanted Blast's input on is if Trump is going to do this, like, 1 year of, 10% APY on credit cards, if they're going to lower the interest rate, why are the banks trading so high? And yeah, we just traded Bank of America last year around December. And we opened the trade in December and we closed it in January, and Bank of America hit all-time highs. So with these like kind of quote unquote like cuts happening to interest rates and APY, I am really curious on why the bank stocks are performing so well.
Well, dude, I don't think it's going to be one hell of a battle to get that passed, right?
Sure.
Like that is going to probably not going to be successful at it, to be honest, or it's going to take a couple years. And I think these institutions know that, and there's no need to act right away on it. Two, I think people really see the downside of it, right? Because at the end of the day, credit card debt is like really high risk debt, right? And it's like it's instant loaning, so to speak, where and for banks, they need to charge a high interest rate for it to make sense. And because if you were to give somebody that's, a lower income bracket, right, 10% interest on their credit card, I think it's going to reduce spending all around, because that's how banks are going to look at it. They're like, why would we lend a low tier, high risk customer 10% on a credit card and most likely not get it back in some, or for it to at least not make sense. And so banks are going to react like this, I think, and they're going to only reward credit cards to like a more top tier customer, and credit's going to be more scarce. And that's going, and what that's going to do, it's going to, because right now, dude, let's face it, right? Middle class is like literally living off of credit cards, essentially. So once you cut that off and they're living off of straight cash, you're going to see lesser consumer spending. That's how I think it's going to happen.
So Blast looks like he would agree with you. He wrote, why banks oppose low fixed rates and caps? One, because of revenue loss. Interest charges are a major income stream. Caps directly reduce this profit. Credit restriction. Banks would likely cut credit limits or deny credit cards to higher risk borrowers. For example, FICO's below 600, just like you said, to manage risk under a cap, reducing access to credit. The shift to alternatives is consumers denied credit might turn into predatory payday lenders with even higher costs. True.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, we are blessed. Me and you are aligned.
Yep.
On it.
Let's get into some more earnings, guys. The next 2 weeks could be bananas. Okay. So besides what I just said, January 22nd, Intel is reporting earnings. So see what Intel does. This doesn't happen always, but chip sector tends to follow chip sector tends to follow the chip sector. So you can get a good idea of how the other chips will do. Of course, the big dog in the chip sector, I can't say that today, is NVIDIA. So we have Intel reporting on the 22nd, but now next week is where the big dogs come out, okay? Next week on the 28th, we have Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla reporting earnings. Those are 3 of the 7 magnificent, right? On the 29th, the next day, we have Amazon and Apple reporting earnings. That's 2 more of the 7. Now, the following week, we have Google on February 4th. And then we get a 3-week break. And this is usually where you see all those memes about how the global market is all dependent on the earnings of NVIDIA. Because NVIDIA earnings is on February 24th, way after all the rest of the Magnificent 7 report their earnings. So, as you guys know, those 7 names can change the entire direction of the whole market because they comprise of about 30% of the S&P 500. And as you guys know, like 95% of people that have a 401k have exposure to the S&P 500. And I'm going to give you guys some numbers right now. NVIDIA's weight in the S&P 500. Now, Apple used to be 8%. Now it's in basically NVIDIA's weight in the S&P 500 is 7.6 to about 8%. Now, I'm giving these ranges because they come out with official numbers like about every quarter, and this is the numbers of mid-January, but they can range. So anyway, NVIDIA is comprised of 7.6% of the S&P 500. Apple is comprised of 6.5% of the S&P 500. Microsoft is comprised of 5.7% of the S&P 500. Amazon is 3.9. Let's call it 4. And then Google, because they have Class A and Class C, they make a combined 5.8% of the S&P 500. Wow. Now, here's a stock that nobody really talks about. And it's actually should be basically in the Mag 7 now because it has outpaced Tesla. It's Broadcom, AVGO. They are number 6th biggest market cap, and their weight is 2.7% in the S&P 500. And then last but not least, Meta is 2.27% of the weight. So in the key sectors, like I said, technology is 35% of it. Financial services is 13% of the S&P 500. Obviously, tech finance, that's going to rule the world in the next few years. So how do I trade earnings, guys? When earnings, specifically with these names, when it's other names, I don't really care. But when it comes to the Magnificent 7 earnings reports, this is how I always approach it. 1, I do not trade the earnings, especially for options, because of an IV crush. We don't have enough time to explain what that is, but even if you're correct on the way that you call those options during earnings, there's a thing called implied volatility, okay? So when the market makers set the prices of option contracts, they price in for volatility. Volatility comes in during earnings. So when there's a earnings coming up for a stock, you might be paying 2-3 times more for that option because of the implied volatility premium that the market makers are expecting. Now, after earnings happen, you could be completely correct, but the implied volatility drops all the way back down and the premium drops all the way back down. So even if you're correct, you can wake up to complete obliteration. So I never trade options through earnings. Investing with shares is completely different. I'm not going to tell you what to do with that. Now, the other way that I approach the market when it comes to earnings is I ease off the gas. I lower the amount of trades I do, if I even do any trades, because I'm waiting for the market to digest the 7 biggest companies of the world that dictate the moves of the market.
Yeah.
S&P 500 just hit all-time highs, gold all-time highs, silver all-time highs, Bitcoin is trading high. What is good though, a lot of these stocks have sold off, like Facebook is sold off already, Microsoft is sold off already. So it doesn't mean doom and gloom. We could still see big rips happen, but when it comes to something that has such a big impact on the market, I'm going to take a step back, chill for 2 weeks, right around this time, and see what the market does with this news. So basically reduce trading before the week of January 28th, which is when all the big dogs start to report. Now, last but not least, there is one more big thing we need to consider on January 27th, 2 days before all the big dogs go. So Apple has been pushing off this big lawsuit with the country India. So it's called the CCI, okay, guys? So what that is the it's the Competition Commission of India. Basically, and this is really true, basically saying that Apple, when you put your apps on Apple and you list them, Apple charges about a 30% commission to the developers, which is crazy. But on top of that, they also charge you, the consumer, much more as well, just for using the Apple Pay process, because it's so easy to do a subscription. It's so easy to double click the side of your phone. But if you sign up for, let's say, X Pro on your iPhone, you're paying about $114 or something. If you do it up, if you sign up for X Pro on the X website, it's like $84. If you sign up for Instagram Verified on your iPhone, they charge you $15. If you go on Instagram.com, they charge you $12. Yeah. So Apple has been putting off this lawsuit since like 2023 now, and now they have to come up with something on January 27th. That is it. India has had enough. They said if Apple pushes this off again one more time, they are going to come up with a decision of their own. Now, the fine potential is $38 billion. Okay, that's obviously going to have an effect in earnings, right? So will we have an exact decision on the 27th? I'm not sure, but that is what is being asked of Apple to produce. Okay, so if they do get hit with this fine on the 27th, what happens on earnings on the 29th can be completely different. Now, Apple being Apple, the company that they are, they sent this committee a 545-page challenge back in November, saying like, we don't owe this, plus the amount that you guys are asking us to pay is like crazy, this and that. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes for Apple, but this is something to be on the radar. And we're supposed to hear from the high courts of Delhi on January 27th. So lots of stuff happening in the stock market. Like I said, when we get into this kind of stuff where there's so much stuff that can affect the momentum of the market, why not just ease off on the gas a little bit? Yeah.
I also want to mention too, like going back to Meta, they've been signing huge nuclear deals, and 2 more just very recently with Oklo. And TerraPower, which is, Natrium. And the reason why they're signing these huge nuclear energy deals, and they're ahead of the curve on this, is to obviously power their AI platform. They're going the energy route and not the...
Meta's revenue has been ramping up, too, in terms of ads and everything else.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry. One more thing that I didn't put in the notes. So ICE keeps coming in the news, huh?
Yeah.
Did you guys know that ICE is trying to introduce 24/7 trading to the New York Stock Exchange?
Oh, you meant like, yeah, dude, we talked about this already.
I know, but more news came out about it. Yes, guys, it's ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange.
They own the if you're wondering, they own the the New York Stock Exchange.
Correct.
Not the ICE you're thinking of.
I know, but that's why I said ICE, because it's it's kind of a play on words. But they do call themselves ICE. Like if you literally Google ICE stock market, you're like, whoa.
They do.
ICE, this could happen as soon as like Q2, Q3 of this year. And then the NASDAQ is I like what the NASDAQ is proposing a lot more than the New York Stock Exchange, because when are we ever going to sleep? This only goes into the favor of the institutions and the bank that have the computers that process trades at rapid rates.
True.
This does nothing for retail. I think because retail was getting too strong, they're like, screw these guys. They're making too much money.
Sick way to live.
But trading 24/7 nonstop is disgusting. I can't do that. And then now, what the NASDAQ is proposing is a 23/5 market. So it's open the weekdays, Monday through Friday, for 23 hours a day. That I still don't like, but that's so much better than a 24/7 stock market. Can we sleep?
No, and you know what I just thought of too? I guarantee a lot more. Dude, these huge companies are going to get traded like meme coins, bro. I'm telling you, the Chinese markets, the British or whatever, and whatever markets are getting involved, I'm sure if it's tokenized, I guarantee they'll probably have access more than.
Well, that's the point, is to basically do that, and then also faster settling time. So right now, for anyone that doesn't know, when you buy a stock share, it's very similar to like depositing money into the bank. Like the bank just shows this credit on your screen. When you buy a stock share, you just get this like credit on the screen, but you actually don't own that share, because that has to go through a clearinghouse. The clearinghouse has to actually buy the share and then send that share to your exchange, and then the exchange has to put that into your name. So when you buy a stock and you sell a stock, it takes 1 to 2 days to settle to be able to use those funds again. With the tokenized trading, the funds will basically settle right away. But I still don't get how that's going to affect the options market with the timing and the theta. And then how is that going to affect with the clearinghouses? Yes, the money settles quicker, right? Because it's no longer like ACHs and stuff like that. But how does the clearinghouse still settle the shares? I think we're in a crazy.
Options are going to get replaced with perpetuals. That's what's going to happen. You're not going to no longer have options.
I would be okay with that, because the hardest part about options is picking the contract dates.
Lately, I've hated options, man.
Buddy, if I'm just picking strikes, then hell yes, let's go perpetual options. I'll print all day because I never have to pick a contract expiration date. Dude, I'll be in heaven. For
some reason, I just see endless vamp attacks on companies. Like honestly, literally, you're gonna see a ton of I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that they've got a complete
secure lockdown,
ironclad framework of how this is all going to work. Because if it's anything like crypto, you're going to have to worry about vamp attacks, like vampire attacks. You're going to have to worry about literally tens and thousands of CZs coming in and just literally rinsing your token. If they just to wipe out the competition, you got to worry about stuff like that. And then obviously the security issues, right? You do it. Can you imagine if some S&P 500 company that's all tokenized and there's not a secure contract that they're on, or there's some kind of exploit, and some company gets wiped out overnight because some hacker just literally drained them overnight? What are you gonna do?
I mean, we are talking about the most sophisticated money handlers out there. I'm sure they're gonna have their things, but this I don't see this being a quick process.
It shouldn't be quick. Yeah. To imagine that it's going to roll out Q2 is kind of mind blowing, But again, they're not going to reinvent a whole another type of blockchain, man. They're going to put it on some existing blockchain. Yeah. I mean, we know Ethereum is pretty secure, right? But like it has to be something that processes super fast with very minimal fees to kind of match how stocks are.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Well, let's get into crypto. I know we only got 15 minutes, so let's just kind of talk about what's really important, and let's talk about the tournament, because the tournament's going to take some a while.
I mean, the crypto news is whatever, but I mean, I guess the two biggest things with crypto, man, guys, the Clarity Act, right? You know, the Clarity Act was supposed to like set clear regulatory framework for all digital assets, right? And it was supposed to be regulated by the CFTC, and it had backing by like Coinbase being one of like the biggest supporters of the Clarity Act. But lately, Coinbase kind of withdrew their support because the government is trying to overreach on it. It's trying to control it a little too much. The biggest thing for Coinbase is why Coinbase withdrew from this is the yield on stable coins, right? The potential to earn yield on stable coins for just holding it and everything. And they want to change like how much you could possibly earn in that or not, or even not at all. And they kind of want to give banks all the control of that. And Coinbase was like, absolutely not having that. We're withdrawing the support. And it's caused this absolute rift within that bill. So that bill has been basically put on the sideline right now. And, a lot of people think the White House is super upset with this. But in reality, Brian Armstrong in the White House, like the White House is trying to get him to, come to a deal with the banks pretty much. But some other things that are kind of being put in the bill by the Dino Boomer Squad and the government is, they want to give SEC complete, like they want SEC to like remain like to have pretty much complete control over this and really not the CFTC. And that's kind of a significant difference. And then, some DeFi limitations too, right? Like they want it to be like super regulated. And, good for Coinbase actually. I see why they pulled out, because like it's kind of like how, dare I say, how the Democrats, when Gary Gensler was around, wanted to treat crypto, is kind of how they're treating this Clarity Act. But yeah, that's what's going on with that.
Should we talk about Monero?
Yeah. So
Monero and Tron, and then go to the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, we could tie in Monero and Tron together too, because it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But like, guys, if you saw last week, obviously Monero ran
to 800.
The most insane run that ever had. And, if you guys know who Zach XBT is, he's like a notorious like crypto investigator. Like he's uncovered a lot of fraud in the crypto space. And he's usually really accurate. Like he knows what he's doing. And he thinks the reason why Monero was pumping was due to a multi-$100 million, so to be exact, $282 million social engineering scam with Bitcoin and Litecoin. If you guys don't know what happened, there was a crypto user. He was using a hardware wallet, and he fell victim to some social engineering scam, whether that be he was like on the phone with support, or he got tricked into doing something through human error, basically, right? And the attacker managed to take $282 million worth of Litecoin and Bitcoin from him. And the reason, and this is where we get to the point where why XMR was pumping, is because he was swapping all that Bitcoin and Litecoin
for XMR
in multi-million-dollar swaps, like pretty much like,
and then just dumping on the pump.
Yeah. And that's why that token was pumping.
Also, too, because of the spread, guys. Like I was saying, a lot of the exchanges did take XMR off, so a lot of the bids and asks were brutal. Like if you're someone like, dude, if you, for example, like bought a market order of like, let's say 50 XMR, you were automatically down like $300-400 from the jump because the spreads were so bad.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. But yeah, I mean.
And I was actually surprised when you told me this stat about good old Tron, because that seems to be the big backer of world liberty this cycle.
Before you get into that, right? It's so funny how things correlate, right? Like, so last week we talked about how Dubai banned privacy token trading. Right. This is probably why. And then, we've also made tons of comments where like, dude, XMR, Monero solely pumped because there's so much money being laundered through it. And it's been like a running joke in the community for quite a while. So it's so funny that this like hit the news and it just like validated everything. But yeah, Tron, man. I mean, Tron.
Yep. So, hey, why is it? But isn't it funny? So, guys, here's what just happened on Tron, and then Fody got some cool stats about it. So, a Venezuelan, ironically, a Venezuelan national, George Figueroa, who's 59 years old, allegedly laundered over $1 billion in criminal funds using USDT on Tron blockchain network to help him do so.
Dude, we talked about it last week too, how majority of Venezuela uses USDT to transact business.
Yep.
Because they have to. So, but man, yeah, they use Tron blockchain as their blockchain of choice, apparently.
And then, so he allegedly made many transactions to a number of crypto wallets before using liquidity providers to then convert the crypto to cash for American bank accounts. Golly.
Dude, the chain of crime, man. The chain of crime. And, there is, I don't know if you guys have heard of TRM Labs, but they're like a crypto analytics company, kind of similar to Arkham, right? Mm-hmm. And they suspect that over half of illicit crypto activity was on Tron in 2024. Yeah, insane.
Yeah, I guess there was moments where he was boasting of like doing 700 million per month in transactions, going from Colombia to China to Venezuela. So the Justice Department, they've identified $1 billion so far. So I'm sure it's even more than that. If you do a month of 700 million, come on. How many more months were you doing that?
You're moving weight. Oof. You're moving big stuff. You're moving big.
Oh yeah,
big boy stuff.
All right, should we talk about the tournament?
Yeah.
All right, guys. we were going to talk about a little bit more stuff, but let's just get into the tournament. Okay, guys. Bravo. If I invite you on the stage, it means you placed, okay? Okay?
Oh, this is exciting. Guys, if you get invited to the stage, you've placed in the tournament.
Oh, my God, my heart's racing. Oh, Blake. All right. Cole, Blake, Anthony. What's up, guys? I will say, though, guys, we all need to give a honorary shout out to Eduardo, who did dominate at 269% account growth, but he unfortunately did not follow the rules. But I've spoken to him on the side, and I'm going to hook him up with something else on the side. But very impressive work, Eduardo. Conviction, very, very well paid off for you. And this just goes that if you keep following your conviction and trade the way that you trade, you can probably be an analyst with us, honestly. So if you guys don't know, Eduardo actually used to be a moderator for us. So he's really learned the strats, and he's a fantastic trader. The guy is always studying. He's came up with his own strategies. He's a really good trader. If you guys are struggling, someone to talk to.
Phenomenal trader, just can't follow instructions well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Now I can hear you guys. All right. So guys, who do I start with? All right. Cole, Blake, Anthony, you guys got mics, right? Bet. So, Anthony, you came in third place, brother, with 46% in a month time frame. That is exponential growth. It's 46%. People dream of that in 1 month.
Dude, you'll never do this in traditional markets. I mean, if you're going crazy on options, of course you will. But like in traditional finance, especially institutionally wise, dude, Gold Medallion Fund doesn't even do that. Continue.
Yeah. There were some folks who did 100, 110, 130%, but then towards the end took some big risks and ended up getting hit. So Blake and Cole, this one was crazy. You guys were 0.63% within each other. 0.63%. Bro, when I heard this, I'm like, I wish I could buy them both a watch. Because it's so slim. So
Identical.
crazy.
It was almost like you guys were trading right next to each other.
Right? It's funny because they are some of the closest friends in the chat with each other, I mean.
That's interesting.
All right, guys. So the winner of the second Rolex that we have given away, they made 86.67%. That was Cole, man.
Congratulations, Cole.
Congrats, Cole. Blake got 86.04. Oh, man. Cole, where you at, dog? Cole, if you're not here, I'm going to keep it. Where you at, Cole?
Cole, you better speak. Wait, hold on. He's talking, I think. No. Cole.
Oh, wait. I had him muted.
Oh, my God.
No, dude. What's up, dude? Man, what a nail biter, dude. You guys did excellent. Do you want to see a picture of it? Or do you want to wait? Clean. Brand new. So we're gonna need your address, and then I'm gonna see if I can arrange some travels to come and give it to you in person. If we can't do it in person, we have FedEx insured shipping. That's super reliable. That's how he ships all the watches. But we are gonna try to come give it to you in person. So congratulations, man. So Blake, you'll be getting 2,000 USDT. Anthony, you'll be getting 1,000 USDT. And Cole, you'll be getting a Rollie.
Sheesh.
Yep. Guys, we have more tournaments coming this year. I expect you guys to be more active, get more submissions, and don't blow your accounts. But I respect the aggressiveness when it came to tournament time. That's all I got. Perfect timing.
That's it, guys. That's it for the market
See you
take.
guys next week.
See y'all next week, man.